There's less than 24 hours until a possible government shutdown. You should know that by now. Leaders seem to be no closer to reaching a funding deal. This could, of course, have major impacts on the country and here in the DMV.
Washington correspondent Drew Petromo has been following these negotiations every step of the way. He's here with the latest. Hello, Drew.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good. So we finally had that Four Corners meeting. Everybody got together and...
I'll give you the bad news first.
Yes.
The leaders, if you're rooting against the shutdown, they emerged from the meeting with no real signs of progress on the negotiations. After the meeting was over, President Trump posted a deepfake video that had leader Jeffries and Schumer, and basically was using AI voiceover to depict them as wanting to give away health insurance to illegal immigrants in exchange for their votes. Leader Jeffries later posted a picture of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein together in response to that. So that's kind of the partisan rancor that exists right now. No, they are not. If you want to look at the good news, if you squint and try to take something good, there seems to be a possible off-ramp somewhere in the mix regarding these Affordable Care Act subsidies. Vice President Vance, after the meeting, said not everything the Democrats want to do is crazy. You heard from the top Democrat on the House Ways and Means Committee saying he was open to some caps on those subsidies. That's been a big sticking point for Republicans to agree to extend those subsidies. So there appears to be, you can see if you squint an off-ramp, but how they get there before a shutdown and how they achieve that in a shutdown, that's, I think, where the questions are.
Let's talk more about those subsidies in just a moment, but first let's go ahead and play some sound from Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Majority Leader John Thune in the Senate following this big meeting that was held yesterday.
You could avoid a shutdown, but it's in the president's hands whether to avoid a shutdown or not. He has to convince the Republican leaders. Now we know why they didn't want him to meet with us.
This is purely and simply hostage taking on behalf of the Democrats. The Republicans are united. House Republicans, Senate Republicans, President Trump.
So that's the line the Republicans have been going with the last 24 hours or so. Democrats taking the American government, economy, people sort of hostage to get what they want. It's interesting on the subsidies. We continue to hear this refrain from Republicans that Democrats want to give money away to illegal immigrants for their health care. But we should point out that these subsidies that we're talking about specifically, undocumented immigrants are not allowed to take advantage of them. But then there's the timeline. The Republicans say, yeah, we're down to talk about this, but Democrats say we've got to do it now. Why?
Well, you know, they basically have October to negotiate over these cuts before the new rates are put out, and then there will be a sticker shock that come to people. Even if they later go back and correct it, there will be a period of time that people pay those higher rates just because of the way the subsidies are enacted and the timeline that we work on. You know, these enrollment periods when it comes to healthcare are kind of set in stone, so it's hard to, these insurance companies need to be able to plan out in advance. So if they don't get the new rates locked in by the end of October, people will get that sticker shock. So that's kind of the deadline that they're working with here. And I think there is some agreement on extending these Affordable Care Act cuts. And like I said earlier, Democrats say now they are willing to enact some caps. The complaint from Republicans has been that the eligibility is too broad and that even people that earn a high incomes are available to achieve these subsidies. There's a big issue over abortion and whether or not there will be new restrictions placed on people's ability to purchase insurance that covers abortion with these with the Affordable Care Act subsidies. There's been a lot of lobbying from anti-abortion groups and pro-choice groups going on over that on Capitol Hill over the last few weeks. So that's still a big sticking point that they're going to have to figure out.
But you're suggesting the Republicans are signaling they may put this into the CR.
Well, the vice president said yesterday after he came out of the meeting that any negotiations about extending the subsidies would have to happen outside of a government shutdown. So if the government shuts down, Republicans are saying that that would be an impediment to continuing these negotiations. Democrats are saying we don't trust Republicans. It has to be set in stone and written into the law. What happens with those two sides in a possible government shutdown, which appears that's going to happen at midnight tonight. There are going to be some votes today in the Senate. Both the Democratic plan and the Republican plan are going to get votes again today. They're both expected to fail. We enter in a shutdown at midnight.
But we need the House to do something as well if things sort of change between now and midnight tonight. But we know a lot of House GOP members aren't even in town because they said, look, we voted on our bill. We're good to go. It's now up to the Democrats, and they're using that as sort of leverage to say this is the Democrats' fault.
The only way to avoid a shutdown now is for Democrats to agree to the Republican plan. If they make any changes, it would have to go back to the House. The House isn't even here. So, without Democratic capitulation today, we're entering a shutdown. What happens after that is a big question.
And it doesn't really seem like that's going to happen. We know Democrats met late last night to have a sort of rallying, unifying session saying we're going to hold the line here. So we will see.
Thank you, Drew.
Right, guys.
We'll talk to you later. With the clock ticking, we are also hearing from current and former federal workers. They joined congressional Democrats to talk about the looming shutdown and how it could impact their jobs and livelihood.
Max Marcillo live on the Hill for us this morning. So, Max, what was the message to those Democratic lawmakers those federal workers were standing next to?
Yeah, well, Corey and Hillary, their message was they didn't want those Senate Democrats, including Chris Van Hollen and Angela Alsobrooks from Maryland, to give in to what the Trump administration and Senate Republicans have been urging. But at the same time, that is a risky message considering these federal workers in many cases are among the people with the most to lose if the government shutdown does start at midnight tonight, considering not only the potential loss of paychecks, but also the fact that many of them in some cases could lose their jobs after, these usual threats of furloughs during the shutdown. We know that memo from the Office of Management and Budget says that some agencies could prepare for massive job cuts. That is a change again from the more usual furloughs during a shutdown, and it's a battle that could impact federal workers across the country, but no area more than ours. Unemployment rising faster here in the DMV than nationwide. New job postings are at a slower pace here than other big cities. Listen to what Jenna Norton had to say about the prospects of a shutdown. She works at the National Institutes of Health, but before that, here's Maryland Senator Angela Alsobrooks.
The witch hunt against federal employees in this country is a stain that will stick to our country for generations to come.
As a federal worker, I am also here to tell you that I will not ask the American people to sacrifice to protect my job. I will not allow him to use me to hold the American people hostage, and I will not be Trump's political pawn.
Now, when it comes to the blame game, a very popular game here in Washington, that memo from OMB already pretty clearly outlines the Trump administration's platform. You heard Drew mention it as well. That OMB memo essentially says congressional Democrats are the ones pursuing a shutdown if they do not vote to pass the clean CR.
Hey, Max, going back to the message from federal workers, those are a few who were aligned with the Senate Democrats. What are other federal workers saying?
Well, Hillary, I mean, not all of them are speaking, at least not openly about this, considering many of them fear repercussions. But broadly, a big source you can tell is their union. And we have heard from the American Federation of Government Employees, and they put out a statement not talking about the politics of it all, not talking about clean bills or healthcare subsidies, really just saying, hey, congressional leaders, get to the table, negotiate in good faith. And their last message, an important one, was, in their mind, stop using these federal workers as negotiation tactics.